Hi friends, welcome back to 3 Barrow Farm. I am out here early. It's about 20 past 8 and last night was our coldest night we have had this autumn. It kind of feels like there was a frost, but there wasn't, just in the way that how cold it was and then how sunny it is now. Because when we have frosts, we usually have a really sunny day. However, it is supposed to rain later this afternoon and it hasn't frosted. As you can see, all the pumpkin vines and all the tomatoes and everything is still alive, still green. They're not burnt from the frost. But we are leaving for a holiday tomorrow and I'm pretty sure it's going to frost while we're away. So I want to get my pumpkins inside. Now this one is huge. It's actually well and truly wedged into the Rio. So I'm going to come back to this one last. Let's go and have a look at the other pumpkins. Okay, this is a great example here of what I want to see before I harvest the pumpkins. I want to see that the vine is dying off, these leaves are dying, and I also want to see the stem that is on the pumpkin is starting to dry off as well. I also like to give it a little tap. The hollow sound, that works for melons and that, but sometimes I do it for pumpkins. It just makes me feel like it's ready to, to take off the vine. Now, I like to leave a good amount of the vine on. I'm going to take this leaf off. My secateurs need to be sharpened. Sharpening your secateurs is a great winter job to do in time for, well, pruning. These ones aren't pruners though, these are harvesters. But I like to do all my sharpening in winter in preparation for spring harvesting. But here we go. Here's this little pumpkin here. It's nice and firm. Another way to tell whether it's ready to harvest is to stick your nail in. And it's really hard for me to make an indent when I stick my nail in. I can't get past the hard skin of the pumpkin. So I will show you what I do after this step. But firstly, I'm going to put this in the sun so it can dry a bit because it has quite a bit of dew on it. Oh, I've got some carrots here that I didn't know I had. It's amazing what hides under all the pumpkin vines. One chop and this one is off onto the ground. All right, got number 2. All right, and the next thing I would do if I wasn't going away tomorrow, and I'm pretty short of time at the moment, so I would normally take this vine off, but I'm gonna wait till I get back. Okay, this one down here was actually the very first pumpkin that I saw growing, and it's quite amazing that, well, it's a different variety to, ow, the nettle just got me. It's a different variety to the big orange one over there, but it also probably had more fruit on this plant than the orange one does. I think the orange one has just that one plant on it. So it's actually not that heavy, this one. I'm pretty sure this is either the Queensland Blue variety. None of these pumpkins were planted by me this year. They all came up by themselves. So free food there. All right, I've got another one here. It's got a bit of a gash in it, this one. But it's perfectly fine. We're going to harden these off inside. Just realised I wasn't recording. So there's this little one here and I just harvested another one as well. All right, there's a little one here, which I'm going to leave on here because I just want to see what happens. So I don't want to harvest all of them today. I'm just going to leave the little ones. I'm going to harvest all the mature ones. But it'll just be interesting to see when I come back what's happened to this one here. And then we've got these ones here, which haven't completely matured. So I'm going to leave them. If they do harden off with the frost, see if I put my nail in, yeah, I can get in and there's some sap coming out of them. So they are still very young. We will see what happens with these. And I've just spotted an orange one over there. And I've just spotted another one that's hanging here. This one is also not mature yet, so I'm going to leave it and we'll see what happens when I get back. Quite a jungle here. I've got tomatoes and sunflowers, pumpkins, crazy. This one is ready. This one here I can tell is ready because this stem here, see how it's drying off. Also, no sap coming out when I put my nail in, and the skin is getting harder than those fresh ones that I just stuck my nail into before. So it's a nice little meal-sized pumpkin, this one. All right, now for this massive one here. I'm pretty sure this is the last mature pumpkin that I have. This I actually planted in my garden, but I can't remember what variety it is. I'll have to look it up. If I do find it, I will put it on the screen. I've chopped it off the vine, but it's still holding on to the Rio. Let's see if I can get it out easily. Oh, it's well and truly wedged in there. Oh, I got it. I managed to get it. Look how big this thing is. Oh, it's a bit too big for me to hold. All right, this one up here is not ready, so I'm going to leave this one too, and we'll see what happens to it. I've also just harvested the last of the little zucchinis that are growing on the plant. I will probably have friends come and harvest from the garden, but we will eat these today for our last summer garden meal. Here's another pumpkin that only just started coming up recently, so I'm going to leave this one as well. My kids have friends around, so that's the noises you can hear in the background if you can hear them. I've got a tromboncino here. There we go. And there are still tomatoes to harvest. These ones are a variety that just go sort of a yellowy green when they're ripe. So these ones aren't ripe here, but these ones are. And I'm going to get my kids to come through and harvest all the tomatoes that they can find. And I've just been throwing the tomatoes in the freezer at the moment, just because I don't have time to process them. So they will sit in the freezer whole until I'm ready to process. Okay, here we have the pumpkin harvest. So a whole heap of what I think are the Queensland blue pumpkins. And then this one must be a hybrid, like something that's mixed from my pumpkins from last year. So it's got like a green bottom and an orange top, and it's got green flecks through it. So I'm not sure what variety that one is. And then the big one here, I've accidentally snapped this slightly, but because it's still joint on, I'm hoping that that won't upset the storage of this pumpkin. So I've got 8 pumpkins harvested before we go away, and we shall see what happens when we get back. Okay, so not as many pumpkins as last year, not even half the amount of pumpkins, but hopefully the other ones grow and they're fine through the frosts. I have a little friend on one of the pumpkins. I'm waiting for her to fly away, and then I will pop these inside. Okay, and this is where I have been hardening off my pumpkins. So these are 2 that I've already harvested. Well, this one came off the vine, and so did this one. This one here came off the vine a bit too close, and so there's not much of a stem at all. And I've started to see a bit of pink coming up. I'm not sure if that's mold. I mean, I don't know what else it would be. So this one is hardening off quite decently, but it'll be the first one that we eat when we get back, because, yeah, I think this might start to rot and it won't store very well. But I've just been leaning them on their sides and rotating them, and they will stay here for a while we're away. We'll see how they go. But for now, I'm going to line up all the other ones on their side in this windowsill, because it is a beautiful sunny morning this morning, and I want them to get that sunshine and harden off. Hi friends, welcome back to my garden, and welcome back to me, because I'm back now. I'm back into my garden after 2.5 weeks of not being in this garden. And as you can probably see behind me, things have changed drastically. As I predicted, there was a frost while I was away from my garden, and I luckily had my sister harvest most of the pumpkins that she found and the produce a couple of days before the frost. But there are a few pumpkins still in the garden, so let's go and have a look and see how they did through the frost. Okay, so a lot has changed in this garden, and I will share this in another video. And I'm looking for pumpkins, and there's this one here, which I left, and I feel like it was much bigger than this. I don't know if a pumpkin can shrink while it's hardening off, but this is much smaller than I remember it being. I've got our farm cat out here with me this morning. He likes to stay very close to the person that feeds him. Now there's this one up here which has started to rot. Now this is probably because it didn't mature in time, but also it's up on the Rio, so I suspect that the frost would have hit it quite hard being further off the ground. And as you can see, all the leaves of the pumpkin vine, they all go a bit mushy after they've been frosted. So they sort of burn and they go mushy, and then eventually they'll go sort of brittle. Now there's something down here that I forgot. I was going to harvest it before I went, but I didn't. So I'm interested to see how this rock melon does, but I shall open it up in another video soon. But I just wanted to point out this one because the vines all died off. I was waiting for the vine to die off before I harvested it, and now it's gone through a frost, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like inside. It doesn't look like it's fully matured either. Here's a tiny pumpkin here, which, oh, it's pretty hard actually. Pretty like it's soft, but it's not rotting yet. But yeah, this one never matured, so that will go into the compost. Okay, there's this one here which I left, and the vine is actually still green up here, which is amazing. And then we have one over here which is also a bit green near where the stem is, but the vine is very much dying off. There's actually some tomatoes under here as well that have been protected by the frost, so they're probably all right to harvest as well. So when I put my thumb into this one, it's bleeding, so there's some sappy stuff coming out, and so this one hasn't quite hardened off that well, so I might leave it a little bit longer in the garden. So even though the vine is dying off, I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. Let's come back to this one. This one's doing the same. I'm actually going to leave this one as well. So I'm going to wait till all of this is dried off. And now that I'm here all the time, I can check on these pumpkins each day to make sure they're doing okay. Okay, and there's one here growing on top of my chamomile patch here. And let's have a little look at how this one's doing. I think this one is closer to hardening off than the other two because there's not much stuff coming out when I pop my nail in. I think I'm going to leave this one a little bit longer as well because, as you can see, the whole vine here is green. So I'm going to wait till that all dies off. And then I've just spotted one in here that looks relatively new. Now this will be interesting because I'm not going to come into my garden and pull out. Look at this parsley. So much parsley. I actually think this is celery growing here. I've got some celery. So because I'm not coming into my garden and pulling everything out, I just can't manage doing that throughout the whole garden. I'm going to leave this one, and this vine, wherever it has started, I'm sure that it's going to stay in place because I can't see where the vines really started. It could be in this garden here. This one has definitely come from seeds from my compost. So I'm not sure where it begins, but I'm going to leave this section of my garden for now anyway. I'm not going to attempt to clear this out. So I will let it grow for a little bit longer and we will see, but I'll probably harvest this pumpkin before the next frost, I reckon. And you can see all of these vines that were up over the Rio have died off. I've had all my tomato vines die off from the frost as well, and my zucchinis as well that are along the base of this Rio and elsewhere in the garden as well. Well, I have one small pumpkin that I have harvested and I'll wait to harvest the rest. But yeah, I've got quite a few pumpkins, which is great. Not as many as last year, as I have mentioned before, but I'm not going to complain because most of these have just come from the seeds in the compost. So I can't complain about that. Let me know how you did with your pumpkin harvest this year. It's very interesting to look back at the years previously to see how many pumpkins I've grown. I had a really great year last year, and the year before that I didn't have that many or any pumpkins. So to have some this year, even though it was a funny start to the growing season and some of my plants didn't make it through that sort of cold snap that just kept going on through spring. But yeah, I'd love to hear how your pumpkin harvests went this season. I'm going to tally up the weights of everything as I've done the last 2 years. So I will have a video coming out to compare this year to the last 2 years that I've recorded things here in my garden. So if you're interested in that, I will be coming out with that as soon as I harvest the rest of the pumpkins, and I'm pretty sure everything else has been harvested. There are a few more tomatoes growing on my tomato vines that are okay, funnily enough. The frost didn't seem to affect them. It was a light frost, but obviously that light frost was just enough to take out all of the vines, but not enough to really disturb the fruit too much. Not a lot of it is soft. A lot of it is still hard, which is quite interesting because last year when we had our first frost, everything went mushy. So yeah, it's interesting how things change from year to year. It keeps us on our toes, really, doesn't it? Anyhow, I will see you again in my next video. Take care, friends.